Good afternoon. My name is Madison Payne from the Detroit City Youth Opportunities Magazine. Today I'm with my colleagues Morgan, Kayana, and Kayla. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Larry Brown Jr., National Director of the AXO.
Okay. What were some of your biggest fears or challenges being the head of NAACP?
So, biggest fear, biggest challenge. I don't necessarily have a big fear. A big challenge was stepping into this role in 2014, and I had 61 days to plan the national competition and the overall meeting. So that's planning, that's recruiting judges for 26 competitions with at least 6 judges there. That's also making sure that we had food to eat, so I had to go through and select the menus. We also had to recruit volunteers. We had to order backpacks for students. We had to make sure that we had medals. There's all these little nuances and nuts and bolts that have to come together to plan a national competition, even executing and producing the national award ceremony. So I had 61 days to get that done, and that was my biggest challenge stepping into this role. The challenges continue to grow and show themselves in my life professionally in this role because the competition has morphed from 26 competitions in 2014 to now 32 competitions, and we have a 33rd coming for the 2019-2020 school year. So the program is continuing to evolve and grow, and that's a great challenge to have because it presents more opportunities for high school students across the country to engage with AXO.
Thank you. What are any big steps or any events we should know about coming up?
So as I mentioned, one of the things we have coming for the 2019-2020 school year is a new competition that we have. And this is a really, really, really big thing for AXO. AXO, in its 41-year history, has been a competition where students compete, and it's only one student allowed. So it's a solo competition for every single competition that we have, all 32. Coming next year, we will release our first team-based competition. So teams of 4 will have an opportunity to develop concepts that are hospitality concepts and compete in our official hospitality management competition and win scholarships to go and earn degrees in hospitality.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Brown. My name is Kayana Williams, and I am very excited to be here. My first question is, what are some of the NAACP's biggest milestones from the past 110 years?
Very good job knowing your history that we've been around for 110 years. We have, so some of the milestones that we have that the NAACP have hit, of course, the NAACP was founded in an effort to stop the number of lynchings that were happening to African Americans across the country 110 years ago. One of the cool things that people may not know, but it was more than African Americans who founded the NAACP. Some of our Caucasian brothers and sisters were also founders of the NAACP, and they too stood with us for the injustices that were being taken against our ancestors. After our founding, the NAACP decided to hire a man some years after we were founded, and they hired a man by the name of Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall is a former U.S. Supreme Court justice, and one of his biggest wins, one of the biggest things that Thurgood Marshall did while employed at the NAACP before he went to the Legal Defense Fund, he won a case that was called Brown versus the Board of Education, which allowed students to act. You've heard about that, so you nod your head. Very good. So he was the lawyer. He was our lawyer, the NAACP's lawyer, and he was the attorney that won that case, Brown versus Board. And here we are, some more than 50 years later since that, and we still have some injustices in the education system. And my colleagues, who I work with at the NAACP, are standing in Mr. Marshall's footsteps to continue to fight those injustices in the system. In 1915, there was a film that came out called The Birth of a Nation. The Birth of a Nation glorified bad treatment of African Americans in the country, and the NAACP tried to organize a protest. The protest was unsuccessful because many of the white film goers that were going to the movie and had the access to go to the movies were actually praising this movie, and it got lots of acclaim because of the things that they were showing. but we flipped the script on them. You know what we did? We created what's called the NAACP Hollywood Bureau, and we have an office even today that sits in Hollywood that is there to make sure that we have equal treatment for people of color behind the camera, in front of the camera, and make sure that we not only are at the creative side of things, but we have a seat at the table, and we're able to greenlight projects. So when you see people like Ava DuVernay and Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry and people active in the industry who are producing and making film and television and music that's for us, that's because the NAACP fought to have that place in Hollywood to be able to do that after that film.
My second question is, what is the NAACP's next step?
So the NAACP's next step is to make sure that everyone who is 18 or older is registered, and not only are they registered, but they go out and vote. We want to make sure that everyone that's one of our biggest platforms is voter registration, or civic engagement is what you may hear people call it. And we want to make sure that people go and vote because our lives depend on it. And even though you're not 18 yet, it's important that any person that you know that's 18 or older gets out and they vote. It's important because so many different things are at stake. How we're counted as individuals is at stake, and monies that come to our communities is at stake. And so it's important that we stand up and represent ourselves by raising our voice and voting.
My last question is, what can I as a 10-year-old girl take back to my community to help?
What you can take back to your community as a 10-year-old girl in the fabulous city of Detroit, which I'm proud to be back home, is our theme this year. We want to make sure that you understand that you have the freedom to create whatever it is that you desire to create to make a better world for today and tomorrow. Once you create that thing, have the courage to pursue it no matter what anyone tells you. And once you pursue that, know that there is a promise that you make to yourself to thrive in whatever it is that you created.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Kayla, and I want to ask you a few questions regarding the AXO program.
Sure.
My first question is, can you give us a background on AXO and how it all began?
AXO was founded 41 years ago by a man named Vernon Jarrett. He was a renowned journalist, won lots of awards for journalism. And he wanted to see African American students celebrated on platforms that their non-African American counterparts were experiencing and had the access to. And so he created a big science fair in Chicago. That science fair grew from the DeSable Museum where it was hosted, and after that science fair was held, they gave it to the NAACP to say, we think that you all have the platform and the resources to grow this and really fulfill Mr. Jarrett's dream. And here we are 41 years later, after 17 units competed at the first national AXO competition. Now we have over 150 NAACP units competing in 6 categories. So those 6 categories include STEM, visual arts, business, culinary arts, humanities, and performing arts. And under those 6 umbrella categories, we have currently 32 disciplines. And next year, as I told your colleague, we will have 33 disciplines.
Thank you. My second question is, what is the highlight of this year?
The highlight event for AXO that's coming up will be our national award ceremony that will take place at Detroit's premier venue for entertainment. That's going to be at the Fox Theater. It's a presentation where we learn who will join the new national roster of AXO national medalists, and we have lots of surprises and fun things to announce. The students win medals and iPads. They don't know they're winning iPads yet, but keep that a secret. And they have some other surprises that they'll experience on stage.
Thank you. And my last question is, how can students find out more information on participating in AXO?
For more information on AXO, you can visit www.naacp.org/act-so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.